Hi everyone, I just wanted to pop on and give you a quick little story time of when I was paralyzed, how it happened, when it happened, and how to prevent it from happening again. I was a teen mom, and during both pregnancies, I had a terrible experience. The first time I was paralyzed was with my daughter. At the time, there was no explanation. Doctors didn't understand what was happening to me. I just remember my legs being extremely numb and just not being able to move them. So fast forward to my son. My son was 3 years later. That pregnancy was completely different. I believe it just depleted everything in me because the paralysis was 10 times worse. I was on my couch at home watching my TV and I started to feel my legs go numb. So I tried to get off the couch and I couldn't stand on them. So I just used my upper body and kind of just use my hands. I guess I don't know how to explain this, but I used my hands and kind of just glided through my house. My legs were dragging on the floor. Back then, you didn't have cell phones and all that stuff, so I had to get to my landline phone, call for ambulance, get to the hospital. I would get to the hospital. They would give me potassium through IV, which I remember so clearly because it burned so bad. Where they'd have to. One nurse finally started putting a fluid bag with the potassium to prevent the burning, and thank God to her because I was tortured for a few times getting that potassium in my arms. And within a short amount of time, I would be able to feel my legs again, and this lasted for quite some time. Well, the final time I was around 6.5 months pregnant with my son, and it happened again. This time, the doctors were like, okay, now this happened a few times already. We don't know what's going on. They were taking these really long needles, sticking them in my legs all the time, running all these extreme tests on me, and they found nothing neurologically wrong. They couldn't determine why this was happening. They said at about almost 7 months that they felt it would be best to just induce me and take my son early because they were in fear that this was going to become permanent and I would never be able to walk again. So I opted to have my son. I was nervous, scared. I knew he wasn't fully developed. I didn't know if he would survive. It was a very difficult time in my life where I had to make a decision that I don't know. I think about it sometime and I'm like, that was one of the worst times in my life because I just didn't know the outcome of what would happen. They reassured me that he would be okay. He would probably just need to be in the hospital for a while. Whatever. So I had my son at 7 months. True enough, he had to stay in the hospital. His lungs were not developed, and he needed an immediate blood transfusion. My son is now 33 years old, just had a birthday. He's doing fantastic. I'm so proud of him. So thank God my son survived and he's good. But that wasn't the end of my story of being paralyzed. So fast forward years later, it didn't happen. I didn't have the paralysis again. So this is what happened, which made me realize that I had to take my condition more serious. So I have a condition called Fanconi syndrome. The spelling of it right here. So you guys, if you want to go look it up, you can go see exactly what it is because most people have never heard of it. So at the time of all of this happening with me being paralyzed, I wasn't diagnosed. So I lived my entire life with this illness without knowing. So once I was diagnosed, I was put on the proper medications that I should have been on years ago. Got on the medication, the UTI stopped, my body started feeling a little better, like things just changed for the better. Well, I okay, let me tell you, the medication was expensive. It was like $300 some a month. They didn't have a generic form of it. I had to get it from the pharmaceutical company that made the medication. I was taking 8 pills a day and I couldn't afford it. I didn't realize how serious my condition was or how life threatening it was. So instead of taking 8 pills, y'all, what did I do? And I don't advise anyone to ever do this. Disclaimer, please take whatever you are prescribed. If you're on medication from a doctor, take your prescribed dose. Don't ever do this because it was very dangerous and almost cost me my life. I started to take less of the pills. So instead of taking 8 pills a day, I started taking 4 pills a day. Y'all, I didn't tell anybody I was doing this. I didn't tell nobody I was doing it. And this condition has had me mentally and emotionally up and down. So I really kept a lot of stuff inside that I was dealing with. You know what I mean? So I was walking up my stairs one day and I fell. Y'all, my legs wouldn't move. They wouldn't move. I kept trying to get up. Wasn't nothing happening. So I started screaming. Screaming. My husband ran down. What's going on? What's going on? I said, I can't walk. I can't walk. He's like, what? Can't walk. I can't walk. Called 911. They rushed me to the hospital. My potassium and phosphorus levels were so low, basically, I became paralyzed again. So what happens with Fanconi syndrome is when your potassium and your phosphorus levels get dangerously low. In my particular case, it causes me to not be able to walk. And it's probably with most people too. I don't know. I just know with me, it's happened. It's caused me to have several teeth fall out of my mouth, which I'll talk about in another video. And, just share what it's done to me and just everything. That'll be a whole separate video. But I really advise you to not ever play around with medication. If you're feeling depressed or you're feeling like, you need somebody to talk to, find someone to talk to. If you're in a financial situation, seek help to be able to stay on the medication you need to keep you alive. My medication keeps me alive. If I don't take my medication and I don't follow the lifestyle that I have to live with Fanconi syndrome, being on a high phosphorus, high potassium diet, all that stuff, then I would not be speaking to you guys on this video right now. Because if my levels drop very low, guys, your heart is a muscle. So thank God I made it to the hospital in a timely manner, and they were able to pump me with potassium and give me phosphorus by mouth. And eventually I was able to go back home. But I learned a valuable lesson. How do I prevent never becoming paralyzed again? It's to take my medicine, the dose that I'm required to take. So far, I have not been paralyzed again since that last scare. But yeah, that's how I was paralyzed. So I know how it feels to not be able to walk. It's happened to me, like I said, on a few different occasions. But that's pretty much what my experience was being paralyzed with Fanconi. It's called Fanconi paralysis, is what my doctors have later told me. And it's due to my condition when my levels in my body get extremely low, and it causes my muscles and stuff to lock up and basically stop working. Basically what happens. It's very dangerous. I have to be very careful. One more thing before I go, I want to tell you guys, please stay on top of your checkups. Please go to the doctor. Please make sure your body is in good shape. If you feel something that doesn't feel right in your body, go get checked. Get your regular yearly checkups. Have your lab work done. Have them check your levels in your body, your potassium levels, your phosphorus levels, all your levels, your glucose, your sodium. Make sure your levels are top notch, because those levels can be, they can cost you your life, y'all. So make sure you stay on top of that. Please, 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 please. I will get, in another video, I will get into kidneys, explain more about Fanconi and symptoms and signs that you can look out for to make sure that you don't have this condition. Okay. So I'll also talk about that later on, because I have had people reach out to me through social media inquiring about Fanconi syndrome and wondering if they have it, asking advice from me and stuff like that. So I definitely want to share more in case there are people out there who are experiencing symptoms and think they could possibly have Fanconi syndrome. My Fanconi, it was a genetic condition. I was born with it. It's not something that just happened later in life. I've been dealing with it my entire life. I've had a lot happen to me. Again, I will talk about that in other videos. But y'all, just please stay on top of your appointments. Please go to the doctor. Please stay checked up. Also, let me say one more quick important thing before I go. I'm in a program in my hospital. Check your hospitals. Check your health departments. Check any place in your area that may help you with your medication. There's programs you can get in that will cover your medication that you need to take, life-saving medication, any type of medication possibly. But my medication is obviously, as I've told y'all, I need it to survive. So with that being said, my medicine is covered, so they ship it to my home every 3 months and for free. I don't pay a dime. So y'all, make sure you look into any type of programs in your town. If you want more about what I'm doing, feel free to email me or, message me on Facebook at Tina's Testimony, and I will talk to you further as far as what program that I went through and how to go about going on the program yourself if you need to. My paralysis testimony, and it was nothing to play around with. It was very scary. So yes, and it was very difficult to not be able to use your legs. Y'all, the things you take for granted, the things we take for granted, y'all, the things we take for granted. Please live your life abundantly. Enjoy every second, every minute, every moment, every day. because it is such a tremendous blessing to be able to get out of bed, to be able to walk up. Oh, first of all, let's go back. Open your eyes. Get up, walk around, take care of whatever you take up. You know how much of a blessing it is and how many people don't have that opportunity to even use their legs, their arms, their hands, their come on, y'all. We gotta be more grateful. We gotta just whoo, understand how blessed we are. Because when I couldn't walk, I felt hopeless. And I pray for anybody who's in that situation. Don't feel hopeless. You will get through it. You know, it's hard for me to really say because everybody deals with things different traumas. You know what I mean? So all I can say is just stay prayed up, keep God first, and He will take care of all your needs. Thanks for listening to my testimony and my story time, y'all. Be blessed, and I'll see y'all in my next video.